Sabada da. Firstly, I just want to apologise for my very tired eyes. So after our impromptu dedication last night, the showground packed down and rejigging the gathering last night, putting it onto the different software to be able to do a live guest rather than a pre-recorded one, all of that sort of stuff means that basically it is quite late right now. But I really wanted to re-record this talk because the tone has changed quite significantly. I had pre-recorded it for our online gathering that was going to tandem with our physical gathering. Yet obviously after the changes of last night, I just really wanted to adjust this slightly to be able to speak into this cultural moment that we are in, this moment of pain for so many of us. And so here we are. So sorry about my tired eyes. But I wanted to start by saying that yes, Christmas will feel hard this year. Maybe it will be the first year without a loved one. Maybe things have had to be stripped back as finances are extra tight. Probably there will be empty seats at the dinner table as restrictions on numbers are now so limited. It has been a tough year, 2020, hasn't it? And yesterday just felt like just that extra kick when we are down. That thing of throughout the year, we just finally are focusing on maybe this Christmas will just bring a sense of normality, something that we can look forward to. And yet that has cruelly been taken away at such a late time. It's been a tough year, 2020, one that we will never forget, although for many of us, we will desperately want to forget it. And despite the vaccinations having started, there remains this imminent threat, this anxiousness that isn't over yet. And wow, didn't we feel that yesterday evening as we listened to the announcement of changes to our Christmas gatherings over Christmas. And there are many hard months in store, not just with our physical health and with the virus spreading, but our mental health as we learn to be in community and society together again. Economically, as we count the cost of jobs lost and businesses closed. Challenges of catching up with education and so many other aspects of our lives that we are going to have to count the cost of as we discover the new post-COVID normal. I've really been struck by the lines from the carol O Holy Night, which we just have an incredible video coming up later of our children and youth singing this O Holy Night in one of the most powerful videos I've seen this year. But the words in the song just feel even more poignant this year. The lines, a thrill of hope, a weary world rejoices. Are you weary this year? Do you sense a thrill of hope in the Christmas message? Because in the mess of this year, the message still remains. The message that points to the Messiah. So I just want us to pause just for a moment, and I recognise this might be difficult with families and kids running about. But I want us to pause on this thrill of hope as a weary world rejoices. And to do that, I want us to, if you're comfortable with this, just to close your eyes for a moment and gently speak the words into yourself of, I am here. It is a really simple phrase, I am here. Maybe this morning with plans changed and disappointment, you are feeling that your head is blurred. It's whirring trying to work out what to do at Christmas. What might it look like now? Maybe you hadn't finished shopping yet and now that present is potentially not going to be here for Christmas. Has this year, yesterday, left you somehow tainted thinking this Christmas just will not be the same? Well, I want to encourage us just to take a few seconds now to pause, take a deep breath, and know that there is nothing we can do except allow ourselves to be fully present in this moment as we say, I am here. Just allow that peace to settle on you to know that actually in this time, there is nothing more we can do apart from be present. Okay, now I'm going to rearrange those same three words, But this time, instead of a reflection inwards, it's going to be more of an outward declaration. Or maybe for you, just a small whisper. But we're going to change those simple words from I am here now to open ourselves up and to say, here I am. Because maybe today, as we look at the Christmas story, the message of hope of a baby being born to us, you will be brave and open yourself up, not in a big, extravagant way, but in a quiet, simple way, inviting God to meet with you today. This might be the first time that you have ever done this and ever opened yourself up to say, you know what, God, if you are there, then come and meet with me now. And I've got to say, it probably won't be a big fanfare or an audible voice that you hear. It will likely just be a sense of peace and joy that settles in your heart, that brings rest to your weary mind, or possibly some sort of just small physical sensation that just allows you to feel that sense of peace. So now we are just going to spend a moment, and I really want to encourage you to just take that time to say, God, here I am. A thrill of hope, a weary world rejoices. Can you feel the thrill of hope? Will you allow your weary heart to rejoice? So okay, Advent, this season that we have been going through, it is a time of expectation and anticipation, a time of preparation and celebration. And each morning throughout December, Caleb, our 3-year-old boy, has arrived at our bedside. And the first thing he has said to us is it Christmas? There is a growing anticipation of joy in his little heart that each day he so much wants it to be the day. Has it arrived yet? And you know what the word Advent literally means? It is finally here. For example, in a different sphere, people might say the advent of a new iPhone or the advent of a new games console. It is the coming of an anticipated event. It is finally here. Each year we follow opening up the little chocolates each day in this countdown to this anticipated coming of Christmas. But it is more than just coming of presents, but it is the coming of a king. But not a king as we know it, but a king lying in a manger, lying in the mess, a king of heaven, Jesus, this season of Advent. He is finally here. It is what the shepherds heard as the angels met them while they were out tending their flocks. It is what the wise men understood as they saw the star in the sky, the long-awaited Messiah, the Redeemer, the light of the world. He is finally here. You see, the Christmas story was and still is a groundbreaking, earth-shattering, life as we know it changing event. When you compare it to COVID and 2020, it has so much greater transformative power. And yes, COVID is tough, and don't we know that today of all days as we count the cost of changed plans. But we, the human race, will recover from this. Things will return to a form of normal. For all the news coverage now and for all of the disappointment now, it will one day become just a mere segment of a history book. Yet the Christmas story, this simple story of a baby being born, yet a baby like no other, a baby that was fully human yet fully God incarnate, God here with us, as it says in the Bible in John 1 verse 14. So the Word became human and made his home among us. He was full of unfailing love and faithfulness, and we have seen his glory, the glory of the Father's one and only Son. God here with us, God himself announcing, I am here. Here I am. Because you see, in the mess of this year, the message still remains. The message that points to the Messiah. And today we're going to make our Christingles. And these Christingles are a symbol of this Christmas story. The orange representing the world and how it was created by God. The candle being the light of the world. The Word who is Jesus. The ribbon, the blood that was shed by Jesus on the cross for our forgiveness wrapped around the world. And then the sweets on these 4 sticks representing the fruit of the world and the 4 seasons that we celebrate each season and all that they are in nature and represent in the seasons of our lives. It really is a simple tradition and a great way for kids to engage in the truth of the Christmas story. But I really want to encourage you today as well, not to just think it as a nice thing for the kids, but to really allow the symbology of each element to speak to you today. I encourage you that when we light the candles and listen to the song, O Holy Night, to pause, to take that deep breath again and say to yourself, I am here. To center yourself in the moment, to open up again to God saying, God, here I am. What have you got to lose? You might get a nice feeling, a moment's peace, but maybe, just maybe, this year, as many things are stripped back, our weary hearts can rejoice as we feel the thrill of hope in the living God coming to meet with us in the still small voice, in that holy moment of peace. If this is your first time exploring God and faith, maybe you are like Bronnie, as we heard from earlier, and this Christmas will spark a desire to find out more, to see if there really is more to life than this. Maybe you'll join an Alpha course in the new year and ask those questions and dig a little bit deeper into what is all this about. Maybe you'll check back into online church in January. But if you have a faith in God already and this year has been tough, maybe this Christmas is your opportunity to reconnect, to refresh and refocus on the peace and joy in the Christmas story, stripping back all the excess and getting to the core message of hope carried from the manger to the cross into our everyday lives. It might be a resolution to go again, to engage again in online church, to connect back in with small group, to refresh rhythms of scripture and prayer, to overcome a fear of lack by starting to or increasing your giving, or to keep loving your community practically, whatever pain, suffering or distance you might feel. To say to God again, I am here, God. So, here I am to be used again to build your kingdom here on Anglesey as it is in heaven. Jesus in his life was called many things, and one title that he gave to himself was I am. When he used this title, it would have sparked a link in the listeners' ears to their ancestor Moses and God revealing himself to Moses, with God outlining his character saying, I am. As in, I am the creator, the beginning and the end. I am God. You see, Jesus was not just a man, as the history books might say, yet God incarnate, God with us, God finally here, the I am. A Messiah coming into our mess, joining our mess, rolling up his sleeves to find a way in our mess, choosing us in our mess, accepting us in our mess. You see, my encouragement to you this year is this, that in the mess of this year, the message still remains, the message that points to the Messiah. To finish, we're going to watch a spoken word about Christ Mess. It is by a poet called Di Woolridge, and his play on words, the mess, message and Messiah, is what I've riffed on for this talk today. The spoken word accompanies a really quality book, and we have a number of copies of this book, which we hope to hand out in our physical gathering. But what my encouragement to you is basically get in touch with us, hello@Capel and if you would like a copy of this book as a free gift from us to you to explore this mess, message and Messiah a little bit more, it is such an accessible book, then get in touch with us hello@capitalgaladiamorn, and we will try and get one to you delivered or posted or something as soon as we can. It's probably one of the best examples of a Christmas book for adults that I've seen, so I do really want to encourage you with that. But alongside it goes this Mess spoken word that Di just puts it so beautifully. So I'll hand over to the Mess spoken word now and listen to these beautiful words from Di.
The Christmas story. How would you explain it? How would you picture Christmas if you could frame it? The Nativity, right? Shepherds watching their flocks by night. Wise men trekking whilst tracking a sat-nav starlight with Mary and Joseph humbled by the sight of little baby Jesus tucked in tight. That's Christmas, right? Propped up with straw and reeds and a tray of animal feed and cushioned in. Hey, I know it sounds quite cosy and nice. Reality was, there was no room for the little guy on that Bethlehem night. He kept in a cradle. Animals as roommates. I'm not trying to pick holes in the state of the place. I'm just saying the way they were staying was just short of space. We talk about entrance. His birth from a dress meant Jesus literally arrived in the mess. But less about the birthplace and the state of the floor. I mean, there's more to the Christmas story than the deck of straw. Flip forward 8 days. In the temple, this little guy's the reason for praise. From the lips of a guy called Sim who's in his old age. For years, Sim waited in anticipation, but then the old met the new. My eyes have seen your salvation, the newborn Jesus, from messy manger to a passing of the baton just 8 days later. See, in the mess of the birth comes a new age, and what's more, the birth was foretold in a mess age. Which brings us back to the cast. At the nativity set, you see, it was a message that guided their stable footsteps. An angel postman popped round, said Mary'd found favour, a save the date declaration, you'll give birth to the Saviour. He'd be son of the Most High, born through the Spirit, heir to David's throne, his reign without limit to Joseph. Call him Jesus, he really will bless, cause he came to save people from all their mess. To the shepherds, he's here to rescue, that's why he's come. The reason for good news of joy, he's the one. As for the wise men, they figured the news. They gave gifts and paid homage to little King of the Jews. See, God brought the message, so they entered the mess to see Jesus' arrival at the nativity set. But let's back up a sec. See, this rhetoric rings a bell. Back in the day, Isaiah waxed lyrical about a future, Emmanuel, God with us, one who'll be central to the story of forgiveness. So zoom out from the Christmas postcard, a message 700 years prior. He'll be a light to the searchers that spread salvation, says Isaiah. See, the angel's news, it wasn't new. In fact, these nativity messages echoed God's promises right through the ages. These messages read Jesus speaking hope to the earth, predicting his arrival centuries before the birth. Thing is, when Christmas comes round, maybe there's a danger that we go Pinterest with Christmas and just pin up the manger in the nativity scene. It's like rating a whole film by watching one scene, or thinking you know a novel because you had a quick look. So you get the whole story by skim reading one page in a book. And what I said before about him born in the mess and the deck out of straw, maybe it could also be a metaphor for all the mistakes, all the messiness in life and what that creates, all the stuff in this world that just doesn't sit right. There was a reason he was born on that first Christmas night. He was born in the mess to make the wrong right. This is the message of hope. Because out of the mess saw God news birth that will certainly bless. Frame the stable, sure, but don't miss the picture. It was a message declared since the beginning of Scripture. A war in the mess, but there's only one victor. A heel bruised, but be good news for sure. The very promise became flesh in that deck out of straw. See, from the mess comes a message, and there's none that is higher. Because what follows the mess is I-A-H, Mess-iah.